Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Fullest Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Bostwick, and I'm back with Jena. Jena Covello is the founder of Agent Nateur, and I'm so excited to do part 2 with you.
Back to get really raw today.
Yes,
right?
I'm so excited. I think, we dove into your story, how you founded Agent, and I think that was, such a special podcast, and people loved our little random.
They loved Tony. They really want Tony's info, but she's not public.
No. And also, I feel like, you share a lot on your website too about places to go visit, restaurants to eat, hotels you like, and people love hearing your suggestions and recommendations. So I'm really excited about just kind of diving deep into that.
Yeah.
But first, I think a lot of just beauty, tips and stuff. I think we can start with one big question because I asked around, what people want to hear from you. And one big one was what's the best product that you suggest for fine lines and wrinkles, especially, people who might not want to do injections and are really committing to trying to do it natural. What could they use consistently to help them?
Lactic acid, which is so underrated. It is an acid that I formulate with all of the time. I was taught that glycolic acid over time actually strips the skin and hurts the skin barrier. And lactic acid actually protects the barrier, is clinically and scientifically proven to help with rosacea, to help with sensitive and acne-prone skin, and with redness. It brings hydration back to the face. It refines pores and fine lines. It helps with sun damage. But most importantly, there are some glycolic acids that affect the adrenal glands negatively. And so this doesn't have any negative impact on the body. And it is so underrated and so important to use lactic acid, just as important to combine it with retinol if you're using retinol. But you can't use it on the same days as retinol. That's how powerful it is. It has to be used on off days. So I formulated Holy Bright with lactic acid. I formulated Acid Wash, our lactic acid cleanser. And I formulated Holy Lift, which is our strongest product on the market. I used the legal amount and the largest amount I could use prior to it being needed to be sold by a practitioner.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense because goat milk powder, I use that in the bath that I was talking about that supports the skin microbiome. Has, natural levels of that. So that makes a lot of sense.
There's goat milk powder in your bath?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that bath. My skin is so soft, guys. I've been using that bath for the last 2 weeks. It makes the bath yellow.
Yeah.
And your skin is creamy soft, but you feel really calm when you're looking at the yellow bath. There's something very nurturing about it. And it didn't dry my skin out. My skin felt so hydrated.
Makes so much sense that you said glycol, right? Glycolic acid.
Lactic is the good acid.
Yeah, lactic is good and glycolic is deteriorating almost of the microbiome.
So over time, when you initially use glycolic, it makes the skin incredible. Your pores are really diminished. You feel like you have a better even complexion, but over time it strips the skin and actually enlarges the pores.
Wow.
So that's one acid that I will never formulate with.
And people use wipes of it, right?
Of glycolic?
Is that part of old school protocols? Even what is that? Well, I don't know if it's Obagi, but different brands like that, where they wipes, right? That people would do on a daily basis, in the morning and evening. I feel I used to do that.
Yeah, I heard someone who sells a product at Vanessa Hernandez has a new wipe, and I'm pretty sure it's lactic. I need to look into it. But Biologique uses a lot of lactic acid. Lactic is in their P50 in their toner. I'm a big fan of Biologique. I love their spa in Paris. I always get my facials there. P50 can be harsh on me, so I use it like minimally,
Yeah.
like maybe once a week. But I love their masks. I actually layer 2 of their masks on with Holy Bright.
Okay, so for people who don't like to use Botox and fillers, what do you
Mhm.
recommend? And then for people who do,
Uh-huh.
I want you to share about like your kind of routine and yeah, like what you look for when it comes to like a practitioner. But let's talk about
Okay, so
people
you
who
want to
don't.
ask if I use fillers or Botox? Do you want
Yes.
to ask
Well,
me?
I
Do
feel
you
like
use fillers or
yeah.
Botox?
Well, yeah. Do you?
Do you?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So I have been doing Botox for like the past 9 years, 8 years. Yeah. Since I was like 30, 35, 36, I started doing Botox. Um, and
So
I have
before agent or
right when I
right
started
when you
Agent.
started.
Yeah. Right when I started. A year after I started formulating the deodorant, I got Botox for the first time.
And how was that experience? Like what took you to your first appointment?
I felt like I just wanted like a little lift on my forehead.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which is the usual,
And,
reason, right?
I went to the dermatologist who's taught me like most of what I know. She's holistic, she's amazing. And she did my Botox for the very first time. And then I went to this incredible nurse practitioner, Rand Rusher, and his aesthetic is amazing. I've had a really bad experience with someone who did some filler and I looked insane and I had to get it dissolved. I looked really, really crazy and like it just didn't look like my face. So I had it dissolved by my friend Jena in Miami. She owns Skin Theory and I love working with her. She has an incredible aesthetic. So I feel like if you're going to get filler or Botox, you need to go to someone whose work you trust and like. So you should see the other work that they do because if some people want a really overdone look, right? Like
Yeah,
some people
they
like it.
like that.
They like it and they want that and that's fine, but other people want to look natural
Hmm.
and they want to look closer to their real face. So you have to find somebody whose work you like. There's doctors who their look can be to drop your eyes and like give you kind of this like furrowed angry look. And that just wasn't the look that I wanted.
No.
So I had it dissolved, and if you get it dissolved, if you don't like the work, you can get it dissolved, but what you need to know about filler is that it doesn't completely dissolve and you're stacking it over time. So if you keep getting filler over time, it's going to stack and stack and stack, which is not great. But if you get it dissolved, you have to use Hylenex, which is the brand name. Don't let them dissolve with, I think it's called hyaluronidase or hyaluronase. That's the generic brand name. You don't want to dissolve with that. You want to get it dissolved with Hylenex, which is expensive, but that's going to dissolve it better. And for lasers,
Yeah.
I love lasers. So I'm into like a bunch of lasers and RF.
Okay.
So I love Titan, which like tightens the jawline, so that's and the smile lines and lifts the eyes a bit.
That's a laser?
Yeah, it's a laser. It's
Wow.
incredible, and you see the results like 90 days in, and you're supposed to get it like maybe 3 to 4 times a year, so like quarterly. That I
Interesting.
love. Yeah, I love dermaplaning, the facial, where I've been getting that like since like 2008, where they take the skin off, not the skin, they take the hairs off the face with a
Yeah.
little blade.
Yeah.
I love that. I get that done at G Beauty in Miami. Um, I
Where do
love
you do the laser that you talked about?
in Miami at Skin Theory
Oh,
with
okay. She
Jenna.
does it.
She's incredible. And I do IPL with her just for my redness, and I do laser genesis for redness and capillaries and rosacea. And then in LA, I go to this place called La Jolie. It's kind of like blown up, and a lot of influencers go there, but I used to go to the one in the valley before like anyone really knew about it, because they did really good forma
What's that?
RF radio
Okay.
frequency, and they also do M face, where they put this like contraption on so that your skin muscles are getting tighter like
Wow.
over time. So those are all like natural things that
Yeah.
you can do. And there's a lot of like misinformation out there about RF, that it can melt fat. And
Oh.
I mean, that is like such BS. Like, you would have to turn the frequency up so insanely high when you're doing forma for it to melt your fat. So there's a tripolar device which you can buy like over the counter to take home. I actually have it. To be completely honest, I haven't been using it regularly just because it has to be plugged in when you use it,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of annoying. But, people are spreading all this false information that RF will melt the fat. Like, guys, like, Forma and a tripolar are never going to heat up enough to melt your fat. I don't like pain, so all of the procedures I mentioned are relatively painless.
Okay,
People can
good.
say that Titan can be painful, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't find it. I didn't find it to be painful.
And what about like PRP? Is that something that's like you
The
regularly do, or
Yeah,
the vampire facial, right? That's the same thing, right?
well, there's two ways to do it.
Okay.
So some people, what it is, they take your blood and they separate the plasma. It's called platelet rich plasma.
Mm-hmm.
They separate that from your blood. They spin the blood, they separate it, and they inject that back onto the face to rebuild collagen and elastin. Some people, they use like the tiny pen, which isn't going to go in deep, and it's kind of staying on the surface of the
Mm-hmm.
skin. They mix it with Botox to give a glass
Whoa.
like appearance on the face. So if you're against Botox and you don't want to get Botox and you think that PRP is natural, you should ask, because most people are mixing it with
Whoa.
Botox. They're doing it on the synthetic layer of the skin. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just giving this glass like appearance, right? But it's really the Botox that's
Yeah.
actually causing that.
So unless you like go under for like a plastic surgery or
No,
something,
no,
can
no,
you,
no. There's
well,
a second way to do it.
without going under?
Well, you don't have to go under at all for it, but the one that's topical that they're doing with the vampire facial, if they're just using the pen to put it in, it doesn't hurt bad at all. But they're going on the superficial layer
Mm-hmm.
of the skin, and they're mixing it with Botox. Um, the correct way and the better way to do it is to do it over time, and
Oh.
to inject it with a needle under the eyes. So there's something called PRFM, which this fibrin has added to it, to help again with the collagen and the elastin, and to help with like the hollows of when the eyes start to hollow out. But that, like, you have like 3 days downtime because you kind of get puffy.
Mm.
But if you get PRP, the better way to do it is to inject it with a needle versus doing it um, on the top layer of the skin with the
Yeah.
Botox.
So it goes in from under your eyes and
So it
then
goes in, yeah, they can
spreads,
inject
or
it kind of everywhere. Yeah, it goes in under the eyes, and then you kind of get really puffy for like 3 days.
interesting. Okay, what's your favorite treatment of all of the ones we talked about, or even one that you haven't, like, what is your number one go-to treatment if you only did one thing?
Tighten, because it gives the effect of Botox too, and it's a laser, because it's like this pulse, and it heats up. It gets really hot, and it can be painful, but the pain is like 1 second. So like when they do your forehead, it's literally like a lift on your forehead. Honestly, I think it's like a facelift in a
That's
laser.
insane.
It's really crazy, but so it pulses. So it's like three pulses, and it's like one Mississippi, two Mississippi, that's fine. And then three Mississippi, you scream, but then it's done. And
And
then
then
it's
it goes
kind of the
on.
same thing here. And then they can do here, here, and then your chin.
Is it like you go and you get it and then you leave and you're not, you can't
No
even,
downtime.
okay,
Zero
no
downtime.
downtime.
Everything that I just said has zero downtime except for the PRFM
Okay, cool.
injected under the eyes with the needle.
Have
What's
you
your
heard of,
favorite?
I
Your
haven't
skin is
done
insane.
anything. I've
Your skin
only
is
done
beautiful.
facial acupuncture,
Okay.
but I mean, like you got Botox when you were 36. Like I've 3 more years, so I'm 36, but I definitely aged when I had my kids, like a lot, like decades, because it's just the most stressful thing
You look
ever.
24.
And I used to like look like I had Botox done all the time because I have this like vein,
No, I
and
don't
then
see the
I
vein.
would
Do you guys see a
like if I
vein? I don't see any
smiled,
vein.
but if I
There's no
smiled, I
vein.
was like, oh my gosh, I kind of like want it to not look so tight. So like as I've gotten older, it's
There's no
not
vein.
as intense, but I want to like think about, because you start aging in your 30s and you really need to start thinking about your skincare routine, which is why everyone should look into Agent, because you have, the whole lineup of everything anyone needs
You
that's
don't age
non-toxic.
in your 30s. Like
You
honestly,
do.
the most beautiful women are in their 30s because they start to lose some of the baby fat.
Yeah.
You age like clinically, scientifically, you start to see it around 42.
But like you want to have that routine set up to like set you up for when you're in your 40s,
For
right?
sure. Yeah, for sure. But I think the number one thing is the diet, for sure. What ages the skin the most? Well, some of it's genetic, but also like alcohol. That's
Oh,
like the
yeah.
number one culprit. I don't
Yeah.
drink any
Okay,
alcohol.
I was going to
Like
ask.
maybe 5 drinks a year, but like
Were you always like that, or was it more like when you started getting into your health journey?
it was just, it makes the endo like so much worse. And it
Wow.
makes my skin look like shit and I don't feel well. And it's a low vibration.
I completely agree.
It really is. Like you feel low after you drink. Like you don't feel good. You don't have energy unless you drink tequila. Then you have a bit of,
Yeah,
because it's
I
a
used to
stimulant.
love tequila.
Because
Yeah.
alcohol is a downer,
Yeah,
but tequila is actually an upper.
that makes sense.
So it's like the one alcohol that I actually do enjoy because
Yeah.
like I love salt and I like spicy. So
Yeah.
I like a spicy, salty margarita, but I like it for the taste, like not to be drunk,
Where are you from?
New Jersey.
Okay. No, but like your heritage or nationality, because
Oh,
I love
almost.
salty too. I'm just curious
Oh,
if
I'm
it's like
almost all
correlated.
Italian.
Okay.
Yeah. Italian, a little bit of Polish, and a little bit Irish.
I used to have this like card in college at the like local like bar that had this like whole set of so many different types of tequila, and you
Okay.
got like a punch card almost until you got to the end.
Oh,
And
wow.
I mean, I've never really liked drinking, but I would always like just drink to keep up with other people, or like keep up with my boyfriend, who is now my husband, but he used to drink so much in college and it got him in a lot of trouble. But I only really like ever vibed on tequila too, but I just
Because it's
hate
an upper.
drinking and I hate alcohol, and I completely agree. And the thing is
Like
too, when you stop,
champagne like will give me an autoimmune
oh
reaction.
yeah,
Like it makes my body ache.
I used to like play beer pong with champagne. It was like bad. I
Wow.
did like the 4 year college thing and I think it's so lame. But when I stopped drinking, and when you stop drinking, you realize you're so much more in touch with yourself and your emotions and your intuition. And like, I feel like life starts really like working for you. I
When
just
you
have
stop
this.
drinking?
Yeah, I really think so, because I think you're operating at a completely different level than the rest of society.
It causes cancer and it's inflammatory.
Yeah.
Everything causes cancer, but I don't like how I feel on it and your skin looks like shit
Well, you're
when you drink.
dehydrated. You're just like,
Yeah,
I
it
mean, your
dries the
liver
skin
is,
out.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's really what keeps the skin young.
youthful.
Like my mom loves a glass of wine. She was having maybe like 2 or 3 glasses of wine a week, and I made her cut it out, and I'm like, let's just see. Her skin was like it was like night and day when she quit drinking.
Wow. And
Just
so she
from the
doesn't drink
wine.
anymore?
No. Like
Wow.
maybe a glass a month.
So how do you like
But
get
wait,
the
you're
edge
you're
off?
you're Persian, right?
Yeah.
Do you speak Farsi?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how to do the Persian snap with your hand?
Like
No.
no, no. I never learned that. Do you know?
Yeah. Hold on. Wait, it's
Oh
yeah.
my
That's
gosh,
it.
that's
Yeah,
amazing.
right?
Yes,
You don't know
it's
how to
so
do
good.
it?
No, I never taught my family tried to teach me the whistle, but
I don't know. I can't do the whistle.
I can't.
But
I love snapping.
like were you called Nikki June growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nikki June or my real name is Nakisa.
Nakisa.
And it was like some
Nakisa
male
Zan?
musician,
Is it wait,
Nakisa,
Nakisa?
which
Oh,
sounds Japanese to me, but
Nakisa.
it's so funny because I have dual citizenship
Yeah.
and they wouldn't let my mom put Nakisa on my passport. They said it was a boy's
So were
name.
you Nakisa
So I'm
June or
Nikki
were
in
you
my Persian
are you
passport.
Nikki Junam or
I'm
are you Nikki June?
Nikki June. Yeah. You have a lot of Persian friends growing
Uh,
up or no?
when I moved to LA. Yeah.
When did you move? How old were you?
I was 26.
Wow.
Yeah. Hmm.
From New Jersey or
New
where?
Jersey, New York. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was designing shoes in New York, and I always wanted to move to LA. Like since the first time I came here, I knew I was gonna move, but
Do you miss
I'm
it? Like, cause you
New
moved to
Jersey.
Miami. No. Do you miss like now that you left? I mean, you
I
spent so
haven't
much time
left.
here. Yeah.
I'm only in Miami like 2 months a year.
Are you gonna
I'm
move
still here.
back?
I'm here and France and then Miami. That's how it's like I'm here 5 months. I'm in France maybe 4 months, and Miami 2 to 3 months.
But like your home is in Miami, or do you have a home here too?
My home is in Miami, and I like live in hotels because it's so unsafe here. I don't feel safe, but I'm looking for a house now to
You
buy.
are.
Yeah, because I'm opening a new office, and part of it will be open for the public.
No
So
way.
yeah, I'm going to do like all kinds of like amazing things that I'll share with you.
I
I'll have
can't
you there
wait.
for my podcast
Oh
once
my
I open.
gosh, I can't wait.
But so you said, how do I take the edge off?
Yeah.
It's really hard for me in LA. In Miami, I think I live on the beach, and that just calms me immediately.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me here. My nervous system is like on edge. I feel like my nervous system is fried in LA. It's very hard for me to calm down. I'm taking these candies. They're called Pim
Oh yeah.
Pim chews.
Yeah.
Pim
That's
PYM. They're
someone's son.
they're GABA and L-theanine. I like eat those throughout the day. They definitely help. But like being in Malibu doesn't calm me the way that Miami calms me. Because someone just asked earlier today, like, how are you gonna calm down? Like, what calms you? And I'm like, my bed in Miami, like being in my apartment.
Oh
But what calms you?
gosh. I mean, I'm a huge fan of yoga when I can get it in because
Mhm.
it's just like really makes me feel back to myself in such a way that I like can't explain. It just reconnects me immediately when I'm just like by myself because I'm never by myself. Like I'm constantly with
The
other
kids?
people and I can count on my fingers, probably one hand, how often I've been by myself in the last 6 years. So I have to like do things like take a bath and close the door and like hide. I don't hide, but like just be like,
Right.
or like just things like yoga have really supported just my, nervous system. But honestly, like with my family too, I think like what you're saying, just getting back to nature is so important and just being outside somehow connected to like the sand or going hiking. I hate hiking by my house because there's so many
Did
the
you hear
dog
that? Did you hear that? Did you hear Rocco? I wonder if we heard him like snore. That
the
was
whole
so
time.
cute.
I hate snakes and I want to go on hikes so badly, but there are just so many snakes out.
Are they big?
They're huge. They're all over, especially like in
Where?
the canyon and Laguna. So I'm
Really?
just like curious,
How
like,
big are
do
they?
you go hiking?
When I moved here, I like did Runyon like very regularly. I would say for like 8 years.
Wow. Do you miss it?
No. I hate hiking.
Yeah.
I love climbing stairs. Like I've worked my
Yeah.
way up to like 40 flights a day.
Wow.
I love climbing stairs.
Where do you go?
Like I've been doing here, like
The
from like
stairs
the
in
bottom of the house
wow.
up like 20 times.
Do you
And
go
that's
to a
like
gym
40.
too or no?
I have a trainer. I have Madonna's ex-trainer. But here, like for me, if you ask any of my friends, I'm really slow and I move at a very slow pace. And so if you like took me to Barry's, like I'd probably pass out
Yeah.
like 9 minutes in. I would just like faint. Um, but for me, like I get stronger slowly over time. And it's like, I don't like to be in a room of people. And I like, it's weird. Like, I don't want to be in a room where I feel like everyone is competing because
Yeah.
my body shuts down. And even like if somebody like comes into the room and they have like a big personality, like Aries and Leos have a big personality,
Yeah.
especially Aries. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have some issues with Aries women, like just because very dominating, and so when they come in the room, I shut down. And
Interesting.
it's kind of the same thing when I like work
Work
out.
out.
Yeah, like I'll like feel if I feel like there's like competition, I just shut down and everybody can like kind of like beat me.
I
But
hate
when I
competition so much
but
so.
when I work out like just by myself at my own pace, like and I know my trainer probably thinks like I'm like a geriatric patient working out with him and that I'm like 90, but like he hadn't seen me for a while and he was like, "Wow, like this really changed in your body. Like I see like this definition and this definition." And for me, it's like to work out 5 days a week, like that doesn't work. Like my body wants to work out slowly. Like I can do the steps like every day in Miami. I climb up. I live on the 17th floor, but 16 stairs are in one flight,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So
But there's
16 times
more.
17?
But there's more, like in my place in Miami. So it's
Oh,
like 21. So
wow.
I'll do that twice a day. And that feels like really good to me. But I do it honestly, like not because I want to look good or because I'm vain. I do it because it helps my hips because I have so much pain in my hips from the endo.
Wow.
And so we get like a lot of pain in our legs, our hips, and our sciatica. So strengthening that through exercise and the steps like really helps me.
Do you walk up or do you run up?
I walk, but now I do double steps.
Yeah, I love doing double
Yeah.
steps. I feel like it's easier in a way
Yeah, it is, but it works your
mentally.
butt more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like better for your body, but like easier mentally. I don't know. I love skipping steps. I think it's because I'm short.
Yeah. I'm short too.
Yeah,
How
it
tall
just
are you?
feels good. 5'1",
Well, yeah.
really, really
I'm
short.
like 5'2.5".
Yeah, you're 5'3". I feel like we like decided the other day
Five two
how
and a
tall you were.
half.
One of the main ingredients in our product line, Saffron, has been proven over and over again in clinical double-blind placebo trials to be an effective form of treatment for depression, anxiety, and ADHD. Saffron has been used by many cultures for thousands of years for these purposes, and now the research is here to finally back it up, proving that plant medicines and ancient healing practices can actually be an effective alternative to pharmaceuticals. From caffeine-free latte powders to saffron baths and capsules, there's something for any modern woman looking for ancient healing. Again, that's code the FULLEST Podcast at checkout for 15% off. I hope you enjoy your new daily saffron ritual. Yeah, I think it's so important to talk about how everyone's body is so different, and you can't just like go to one workout and think that it's going to be the same for everyone else, especially where you're at in life too. Like if you're super hyped up and you have all this like cortisol, it can be worse for you to go to Barry's and just like increase that cortisol to the nth degree, and then you can like hold on to all that inflammation. Whereas like if you take it slow, maybe you're the type of, or you want to get that energy out, it's always like different based off of where you're at. And sometimes going slow and getting strong that way is for sure like can be the better route for a lot of people dealing with health issues too.
Well, also like hot yoga can really mess up your thyroid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was doing hot yoga a lot. I was doing it like 4 times a week, and my thyroid was really messed up, and then my hair dried out and my hair was messed up, and my thyroid is a little off actually right now. My cortisol is high, so I'm in the process of figuring out what to do this time around for that, but I've been like super stressed lately just from traveling so much from work. I've like never worked so hard.
Yeah, I mean, you're never home. Like, you're always traveling.
So I think that's like, yeah, that's kind of like gotten to me
What are
lately.
your travel tips? Like, what do you do pre-flight and after flight?
So I usually, on the way to Europe, I don't eat on the flight. And that really will help with any sort of constipation.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure I take magnesium and MSM, and I honestly have no issues in terms of like going to the bathroom or anything. That's like a great way to like not get constipated.
Yeah.
If you do get constipated and you're in Europe, especially if you're in France, you can get some like prunes,
Yeah.
which will help, or like take some extra magnesium, or you can take like an L-glutamine will help, like a gut supplement made with L-glutamine and licorice, like that helps. My other travel tip is this. So usually, like, let's say you land between 10 and like 1 p.m. in Europe. My tip is you can take a nap like at 3 or 4 p.m., but you have to get up at 6. You cannot allow yourself to sleep till 9 p.m. at night because then you're up all night. You can
Yeah.
take the 2 hour nap like when you land, but it can't go past 2 hours. And that will really help like with some of the jet lag. And then you just got to force yourself like to get up in the morning. Like you have to get up at like by like 8 a.m.
Like, and start a regular day,
Yeah.
basically.
The
That's a good
problem
idea.
for me is that like 4 or 5 days in, I'll just lay in bed like awake like until like 4:30 a.m.
Really? Because then why?
Because I just can't get used to the time for like a little while. That's why I won't give up living in Miami because I go there prior to
Yeah.
going to Europe because it's easier for me to get on the schedule.
That makes so much
Especially if I
sense.
fly to London because then it's only 5 hours, so it's not
Yeah.
a big difference like at all.
How often are you in Europe?
Usually like 3.5 to 4 months.
Like all in a row or?
No, you can't stay longer than 90 days. So I was there like all of February, and I was there for most of April, all of April pretty much. And then I go back in a couple months.
So you split it up.
Yeah, I split it up. I'm trying to not travel as much just because this last trip like really took a toll on me, and I'm really trying to fix those cortisol levels, and like chocolate and coffee like really like aggravate me and keep me awake as well. I have a lot of issues with sleep actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, take the saffron. I want to hear what you think before
Okay.
bed.
I'm making a sleep supplement.
Oh my gosh,
And
so
if
exciting.
it works on me, it'll work on anyone. But I want your sleeping tips.
Yeah. I mean, I don't sleep, which is what like aggravates all of my stuff because I've been nursing for like 5 years straight. But I you know what's so interesting is like I used to be really great at sleeping and I still am. I just literally can't do it. Like um an entire night's worth of sleep, but I get my best ideas in the middle of the night too.
Really?
Yeah, and I
I
was
get mine
actually
in the bath. Yes.
yeah.
So when you're sleeping, you get when you're
Well,
in
I get
bed.
it in the bath or when I'm steaming too.
Yeah.
But like sometimes, especially like when we used to write a lot more content for the fullest,
Hmm.
like I would get so much work done in the middle of the night and I knew it was bad, but it was like this period of time where like everyone's sleeping and I just feel like I can finally think for myself. And so I kind of used it for my advantage, like to my advantage. It was like, okay, this is just like a blimp in time for me. So why don't I just like use it to, because a lot of people find, like even writers, that they're most creative in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like I'm going to do this. I'm going to like use that as my opportunity to kind of be efficient. And then later I just, we'll go back to a regular sleep schedule. But I'm not the type of person that has trouble going back to bed. So
Yeah.
my husband, usually I feel really bad for him because he'll like pass out. And then I'm up. And then I'm like, I hear something. And this probably happens like 4 times a night or a week where I'm like, I hear something, and he had just finally gotten to bed. And then he like gets up and like goes down and checks. And so I'm curious with you, like we're just talking about sometimes not feeling safe, especially when you're in LA. Like, do you get scared? Like every night, or is it only sometimes, or like
I
how
c-
do you feel
like I
living?
can't be in a house by myself, so that's why I like to be in the hotel because I feel safe. Like
Has anyone
the
ever broken
hotels.
in, or
No,
yeah,
no,
and that's
no,
not gonna
no,
happen, but
no, 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 no. Like God forbid, no. But
yeah.
back to the sleep. I feel like I can sleep really well in Miami and Paris. I can't sleep in LA for whatever reason, or the south of France, really. But I sleep in LA and Paris, and there was like for quite a few years I was going to Paris just so I could sleep because my hotel room is so dark. It's like pitch black.
Yeah.
And I will just sleep like 12 to 14 hours, which I cannot do here. Like I've been up since 4 a.m.
Yeah.
today. Like I just cannot sleep well. So
And there's so much light in this house too. It's so true. Like getting blackout curtains. It's
you're supposed
so
to sleep in a dark room.
yeah. And what
Yeah.
about temperature? Because I always hear like
This
it's
is
good
something
to
that
make
me
it
and
cold, but
this
I hate being cold.
Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to adjust to what the temperature is. So, for example, in the winter, you're supposed to sleep when it's slightly cooler. But in the summer, you're not supposed to have this air
Yeah.
blasting on you. Like, do you know, like, Madonna shuts off her air conditioning when she sings?
Wow.
Because, so when you go to her concert, like, if you're there, let's say you're waiting like 45 minutes in the stadium for her to sing, the air is on and she's going to come out because she shuts the air off
Wow.
because they have better like singers have better vocal
Vocals, yeah.
cords when the air is completely shut off.
I love that tip because I hate AC. I just hate it. I feel like I feel sick. Like, actually, every time I go to Miami, I always get messed up. I feel like because it's like outside it's warm, and then you go into the hotel and it's just like so cold. And
The
sometimes
in and out,
yeah,
yeah, I
it
had to get
really
used to
messes with
that in
me.
Miami. Like,
Yeah.
in Europe, um, especially in France, like they don't use a lot of air. So when you go into the cafes or restaurants, you don't feel like that gust of cold air.
Yeah.
The only place I really feel it in LA, because they don't use the air too much here,
No. Yeah.
but they do in the grocery store. Like I'm always
Yeah.
cold in Air One. I'm in Air One
Always
like
cold in
every
Air
day. It's
One.
like free Air One. Why is it so cold
I
inside?
know.
It's
Maybe.
like freezing. I was there yesterday and I had like goosebumps. I was so cold.
Speaking of cold, and like that goes really well with pet peeves, like what are your 3 pet peeves?
Okay, so yeah, so Instagram asked us to ask each other these
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
pet peeves.
yeah, people asked Jena, what's your 3 pet peeves?
I have more than three. Like I have so many pet
Oh
peeves.
my gosh. Tell us all of them.
Hands that aren't nice.
Hmm.
A woman with really bad style.
Or just like, no, you mean, okay, with bad
Wait,
style, or like
like a
just not caring?
no, like no. I think that bad style is worse than not caring. But to go out with someone and where you're like embarrassed of their outfit,
Yeah.
like for me, like that could really like I was at dinner in LA and someone came to dinner And I was like, you got to put my coat on. I'm like, here's my coat.
Oh
I'm like,
my
here's my coat.
gosh,
Like,
to be that person.
yeah, it's something like it's an eyesore. Like, it's
Yeah.
like it disturbs
What
my
did they
eye.
wear?
God, I love her. But it was like this, like, boot that was like over the knee, but it had like this Western motifs on
Oh
it.
no, yeah.
It, but then it looked like it was worn with like a Skims ribbed tank dress.
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you think about Kim Kardashian style before and after Kanye?
Well, she was really into a jewel tone before Kanye. She loved a jewel tone. She loved an emerald green. She loved a fuchsia. She loved like a purple. She like dressed like she was a beautiful, what's her name? Jasmine from Aladdin.
Yeah.
That's what she looked like, and that's what she like. Kim loved a jewel tone. Um, I don't know. I think like she looks sexy. Kim is like really sexy, so
Mhm.
I feel like her outfits like look sexy. But if I took that outfit and put it on me, like it would look ridiculous. Like she like oozes sex,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so she can wear like she's curvy and very voluptuous, so she can like wear these like outfits that look really good on her body type. Um, but that if I wore it, I would just like look like ridiculous, you know?
Yeah. But like you think that she has good aesthetic or like without him? Because people always say like he's the one that made her have like good style.
I used to think that, but then when I look back and see the outfits, I don't think any of it's any good.
Yeah.
Some of it,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's okay. It's not my style, you know? I have a friend named Zizi. She has like amazing style, and my team, Kristen, like dresses incredible.
Oh,
And I'm like surrounded by like girls who like I'm so inspired by like how they look and what they wear. And um yeah, you have to look at Zizi's Instagram.
I'm going to. What is it?
Zizi at Zizi Donahue, and she is like so like, oh my gosh, like you got to see her outfits like that she puts together, and she helps me a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like my style has gotten better just like since she's been in my life, and since I have money to buy Chanel.
Yeah. You're like
That makes
perfect.
that makes
Yeah.
it like easier. But like who else dresses like really well? Like whose style do you admire? Who do you like?
I don't know. I feel like for me, I just really care about the material of stuff,
You
you
do?
know? Yeah.
I'm not there.
I care so
I'm
much
not
about
there.
it. Like
You
the
do? Like what do you like what do you want?
well, I just want it to be natural materials and then it's like hard cuz designers don't care, right? But then some are and
Like
then there's a
natural what?
lot
Like
of
you don't want to use like you want something sustainable or what?
well, that's the thing is like there's so much sustainable talk, but then it's all made out of plastic water bottles or whatever, you know? And so you're like,
What does sustainable mean to you?
exactly. To me, it's like, okay, as close to the earth that like as possible in terms of like it's hard too because it's like okay, cotton and linen, like those are natural materials, wool, like sheepskin, like leather. I love that. But then there's like great like ways to derive that and then there's like shitty ways to derive that, you know? Cotton's like most cotton and like I want to talk about glyphosate with you. It's like most
From the
cotton
cotton, it's all genetically modified,
it
and
all
they're
is.
spraying the cotton, so the glyphosate is basically leaking through your system, which is
Literally.
why you need the glutathione drips and the MSM.
It's so insane. And then it's like
That's
to
why
what
I
level
love
do you
a
have to get?
vintage Chanel look
Yes.
that they made prior to glyphosate even being around.
Well, it's so true. Yes, or the other day, I was actually just thinking of you when I came in and saw your really cute Chanel outfit. And then it reminded me the other day I was at this market and this girl made repurposed vintage designer jewelry out of like real designer belts. And then she made them into necklaces and stuff. And I was like, that's so cool because, you know, it's real, it's old school, but it's still designer and like really cute. And she just made it all look really cute. Like, I don't know if I could pull off half of it, but like you, I feel like you pull it off all like designer stuff off really well. But I feel like if I did it, like I just feel like I would have just like stepped out of like Dubai or like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I need to like go minimalist and like a little like toned down.
No, I think we should have a fabulous day at Chanel together.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Can we do it?
Maybe one day. I mean, I want to do like Air One shopping with you, and then and then we'll go to the designers places you like too.
I feel I'm in Air One every day.
Yeah.
You can catch me there. I've been like, look, I've been going to Air One. Kim Vanderbeek took me to Air One first, and she introduced me to Tony.
Oh my gosh.
But Kim took me to Air One in 2007, and I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And she brought almond milk to my house for the first time.
Wow.
You're going to love Kim when you meet her. But Air One was like, back
I
then,
remember.
it was this small grocery store on Beverly, and it was like a tonic bar where
Yeah.
you would get these crazy like chaga mushroom latte and all these kind of added shots and elixirs. They were like elixirs back then.
Like
and
real Chinese, yeah.
And you would sit at the bar.
I
And
remember it.
I'm like, where the hell are you taking me? So
My son is named after Truth Calkins, who helped with the tonic bar with Donna Gates.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
wow.
because I'm obsessed with him or anything, but I just like the name Truth came to me when I was like, that's such
so
a cool name.
cute.
But
What if you like somebody yells at your kid, he's like, and they're like, hey, Truth, you're a liar.
I know. Look, he says that all the time. He's like, I'm Truth. I speak the truth.
I'm Truth. What?
I'm like,
when
who
somebody's
told
like,
you that?
Truth, that's a lie.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, he lies too all the time. 24/7. No. But I'm like, just,
That's so cute. Truth is a liar.
yeah, Truth is a liar. But I'm like, yeah, it's so funny. But I think that, yeah, I want to go back to pet peeves because you didn't finish in the style one
Okay.
and the hands.
Okay,
But what
hands.
else?
The way that my mom chews and swallows her water, like
Oh my
gulping,
gosh.
like I feel like the guy in Something About Mary when they take his earphones off, like I feel like I'm like I have to like I'm like no, don't chew your food like that. Like
You're
like
one
the
of those people that like really bothers you.
Like
I know so many people like that.
like the gulp, but it's only my mom.
It's only, well, isn't that funny? Like my
It's only
husband's
her.
like that with like chewing apples or like, it's like you can't do it near him.
Oh, you can't chew an apple near him, like because you're like biting into that crisp
Yeah,
apple. and
even if
he's
it's
like,
cut up, like it's the most irritating. And I used to think it was like only with me, but then he'd like text me. He'd be like driving in the car with an employee or something. He'd be like, God, like I cannot stand it, and I like don't know how to stop this. But it's like them chewing ice or like, anything. I think when you get like really annoyed and it's like someone you're close with too, it's like easier to be really annoyed with.
yeah, maybe that's why it's my mom. But I know one. When I see a girl on Instagram that has long nails and you see like dirt under her nails there,
Yes.
and I zoom in.
Oh
see
my
if it's
gosh,
clean or
you
dirty,
do.
And I gag.
I love that you zoom in because you know you're gonna gag, but
Because
you
I'm
still.
like, why is that dirty? Like, mine are clean.
Yours are so clean. They're pristine.
That really like, oh my God, that scars me.
Yeah.
That scars me.
No, it's bad.
That leaves a permanent scar.
Yeah. You
on
can't
my
unsee
eye.
that.
I cannot unsee it. Then I think, are they going to touch my food? Like, are they going to toss my salad? Like, I don't want them to touch me. Like, when there's like the dirt under the nail.
That's like how you get sick. Like you get sick from that.
What else? Oh, if a guy like leaves like hair in the bath, or like any side of hair, like
Yeah.
in the bath from a guy, not
From
a
a guy.
girl,
Yeah,
like,
I was just
a
gonna
girl,
say.
like I don't mind like seeing her hair on the floor, but a guy, like if he like shaves and leaves any hair in the sink, that like incenses me. Or like a toilet seat that's up,
Yeah.
that really gets me going. What else bothers? Tell me your pet peeves.
Well, I want to get into a question I want to ask you about your boyfriend, but I'll tell you mine. Okay, so I hate the word sure. Like
Sure?
if someone says sure to
Sure.
me,
Sure.
I've like lost it on
Sure.
just like being like, okay, sure, like yes or no. Is it yes or no? Like I don't know which
Sure.
one. Like can you just be definitive?
I'm never gonna text
Yeah.
you sure.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
never
like,
gonna
I'm
say
not as
that to
annoyed in
you.
a text message by someone, but like, I've had to work on it because
Okay.
I'm such a, I don't know if maybe it's because I'm a Gemini. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, I like answers, and I don't care if it's an answer that I don't want to hear. Like, I'm cool with confrontation or like being called out. Like, I just want the real answer, and I want someone to like tell it to me straight,
I
you
don't like
know?
yes people.
Okay, yeah.
I want people to like be hard on me and tell me what's wrong.
Yeah, no, me too, but I think people
Yeah.
are scared
Well,
of
I don't,
us.
you think like,
Yes.
do you find as a Gemini that you have 10,000 thoughts going on in your head and you try to connect them all and say them all out loud and then people
Yes.
are trying to connect what you say?
Yes, and every time, I mean, I interview people and they're like, "Okay, hold your horses." Like,
Oh yeah, because
But it's
you're
like,
like
no, it all
jumping
makes sense.
everywhere. Yeah, but it all makes sense to
It all
you.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, sure is one of them.
What's
Um,
the thing we said after that? Sure.
oh,
What were we just talking about?
oh yeah, like people just saying yes,
Oh
ma'am,
yes,
basically, because they're
yes,
scared
ma'am.
of like the real answer,
Yeah,
or just to
I'm
tell
like,
you.
tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Like,
The first time I met Marianne Williamson,
yeah.
like my friend and I could not help but say, "You look tired" to her.
Did
And it
you
was like when she
did you
was
say
running
it to
for
her?
Congress.
Did you say it to her?
Yeah,
What did
no,
she
she
say?
was
Was
running
she
for
like, I'm
Congress. It was like
exhausted?
2014. She was running for
Yeah.
Congress in LA,
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah.
And she like came over to my friend's house for like an event that we did with her, and we just like she was late and she was just so exhausted doing all these events, and she
Oh.
like walks in and we're like, "Oh my God, she looks terrible. Like she
Is she
looks so tired."
running for
We were
president
like, "You
this
look so
time?
tired." Now obviously she's running for president. First
She
she ran for
is.
Congress. Now she is.
I'm sorry, she doesn't have a chance, but what's great about her is that these spiritual people are stepping up to run, which puts a
Totally.
new set of eyes on them, which shows that we are progressing to a more like spiritual future of people running in politics, if
I
that
completely
makes
agree.
sense.
Yeah.
I think it's important for those people to run just so that we can see the progression of allowing those kinds of people to have a platform to speak, which I feel is really important. What I see happening right now is that look, the canceling has really calmed down. I've gotten incredibly canceled online, and I just want to thank everyone who canceled me because you made my business fucking explode. Um, every single time they tried to cancel me, my business would just keep on growing and growing, and I never apologized. I will never apologize to them, and I fight back with them. That's the thing. I don't take the high road with them. I don't ignore them and I don't shudder and walk away. I'm like, okay, if you're gonna say this, then I'm gonna expose this about you.
Yeah.
That's like my
Does
New
that help your
Jersey side that
thyroid? Like
comes
your,
out.
yeah, like I feel like it helps the like throat chakra.
Maybe I don't know, but I was bullied really bad as a kid. So for me, like I won't stand for this bullying of having a different view and being called these atrocious names just because you have a different viewpoint or opinion, and then they try to silence you with these, five names that they should just fucking trademark, okay? Because it's five names that they call you, right? It's like these the same five names that
What
they
are they?
say. They'll call you racist,
Oh
transphobic,
yeah.
homophobic.
Yeah. Totally.
They'll say these vicious names to try to shut you up so that you won't say anything. And the more they tried to do that, the more I'd speak. And the hardcore cancelers, now they're going after anybody who talks about RFK. And look, I'm not a voter. I don't vote. I don't think that it's a fair
System.
system
No.
at all. So
Yeah.
I voted against Newsom. And I actually voted for Hillary in the primaries against Obama. Those were the only two times I voted. But I never voted for a president or in an actual election except for voting against Newsom. And what I see though is that they're now going after anyone who supports RFK. So it's probably going to get like we have like a year and a half to go. So they're starting now with their insane posts on social media. But what I find with my younger friends, what's really interesting and very um what's the word? Refreshing to see. I see that people in their late 20s, early 30s, how old are you?
33.
I see people who are like, between the ages of like, I don't know, maybe like 26 to like your age who they're not canceling people. Like they
Mm-mm.
actually appreciate a dialogue um and I think this is a really valid point to make. My friends who are like between the ages of like 28 to 32, 26 to 32, they don't gossip the way that
Yeah.
my generation gossiped,
Yeah.
right? So, like the people who are, let's say, like 36 to 45 in that age bracket, they're mean girls, they're gossipers, and they're cancelers. And their new way of bullying people was through politics, right? And so this younger generation of people, they're not gossipers, they don't bully, and they allow you to have a different political opinion. And so I really find that with my generation, within that decade, that gossiping and being a mean girl just translated all into politics.
Interesting.
Um, but my younger friends are, they really, you learn so much from surrounding yourself with younger people. I never understood that when, like, Madonna would say that when I was younger, and I never understood, but they teach me like the most. You learn more from people who are younger sometimes because they have a different perspective and a newer perspective on things,
I
and
could,
and
yeah.
they're like just so much more like kind than like it was for me growing up. And so yeah, they don't have that bullying mentality, which is really really nice to see.
I love connecting with like you and other women in the space that have really like opened their, arms up and like shared a lot about their journey. And I love that. But I also now am in that space where I have older women older than me that I look up to, and also the younger women that might work for me or, that I've met. And I agree with you. I feel like with when they're younger, it's like they're not,
Jaded.
yeah, they're
Mm-hmm.
not jaded. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's this
They're not as
hope. Yeah.
traumatized. There's not this like as bad.
And I remember that within myself too.
They're not traumatized like with the bullying and like you
There's
know
like not a lot of, except for I will say with social media, I feel like sometimes the younger generation is like, I don't know, I guess they share and they're on social media and stuff, but I feel like what I've noticed is they're not as likely to share, maybe and be as, I don't know, not authentic, but something about like being afraid of sharing.
well, maybe they're still in their cocoon
Yeah.
in a way. Sometimes we go in a cocoon
Well, it's
and
hard to grow up with social media. Like we didn't have it growing up,
yeah.
and now
Hmm.
everything like I think it would be
So
so sad with self-esteem wise.
I think it's kind of better to not overshare.
Yeah.
I think it's nicer.
But I think, I mean, I guess share, but they're still consuming it. And like, do you
But
think that
maybe
there's this
they
sense of comparison or do you think it was the same for us where it was like the magazines, the MTV, like, is it the same in terms of consumption and it just feels different to us?
it's worse because because a magazine there was a distance. And with social media, there's no distance. It's
Yeah.
it's more the person, they can access things easier. So like a model in a magazine would be a model in a magazine that you kind of fantasized about. But
Yeah.
to have the social media, they can access parts of that celebrity and see them in a different light, which doesn't maybe glorify them as much. It's kind of like I don't know. I think it's different. I think it's different. But I think with the social media, with all of the face tuning and apps. Like
Yeah.
it was still going, I don't know, it was still going on
I
back then as
For
well, but it
sure.
was just airbrushing in the magazine versus the face tuning online. But I do think like within the like progressive movements, there are things I do like. I do like,
Or you're gonna say body positivity because
yeah,
there's like,
I do like it. I'll tell you why. A
yeah,
lot of people like on the right will say like it's unhealthy to feature someone who's overweight on a magazine and that it's not the epitome of health. But I feel like embracing that person and showing acceptance and love to that person will inspire them to be
yeah,
healthier, and that they'll want to get better rather than ostracizing and bullying them and shaming them. That's going to make them feel like shit. But when you accept and you love someone for like who they are in that moment, you actually inspire them to get healthier and
so true.
better.
I mean, you see that in a lot of plus size models
The
that then
yes,
become models and then they
yes,
like start to take care of
yes, yeah.
themselves. But I think that there is some fine line because then I do think sometimes brands take it really far and it's like, I don't know. I think that there is a fine line because sometimes I'm like, I also don't want to highlight this as it is normal. It is normal because it's so what we see often, but it's not necessarily the best thing.
But it's happening in response to that bullying that has
Yeah.
taken place the last like 40 years, right?
Yeah.
So you have
And
like
I don't have, I feel like I didn't experience it the way you
yeah,
saw
so it's
and
like,
did.
yeah, so it's like I see it both ways because sometimes I don't like when things are pushed down my throat, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's being done to virtue signaling, right? It feels like some of these companies, it doesn't feel
Yeah.
authentic, right?
Yeah.
But what happens over time when you push the envelope that far, right? And
Yeah.
you start to show a ton of diversity nonstop and you're pushing it down people's throats, what that does in the human experience outside of social media is it makes you more acceptable to people who don't look like you.
Yeah. It's so true.
It I understand it. I understand that I don't like when things are shoved down my throat, and I accept people for what they are, but not everyone is like us, right? So there are a lot of people that don't accept, who are racist, who are ageist, who are sexist, who have an issue with people who are trans or overweight, whatever it is. I have an aunt who struggled with her weight her entire life. She was bullied so extremely bad. She has like an extreme complex over how bad she was bullied.
Oh,
So, to see now that like she would have been accepted when she was younger as she is instead of shamed, I see the other
yeah.
side of it, and I really see it when I'm out because I see that look, LA has changed a lot for the better and the worse, but LA is more diverse, and people who would never come to Beverly Hills before are coming because they feel.
Accepted.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And so that kind of makes me want to ask you, like, what makes you feel the most magnetic?
What does magnetic mean?
I feel like just the most, the true, your truest self, like on a high, but you're just you. You know, like when you're walking or driving and you just feel really good, or you're with someone or people, like, and you just feel like this feels right. Like, what makes you, maybe it's being with people you love or whatever that is, but
I feel magnetic like when I'm laughing with my girlfriends.
yeah,
That makes me feel magnetic, like laughing.
yeah.
I feel magnetic like in the south of France at Hotel du Cap, but I feel like it's turning into a TikTok hotel now, and I hope it's not like ruined, but I feel really magnetic there. I feel magnetic in Paris, I would say. And um like when I'm working and creating, formulating makes me feel magnetic. And when I
Oh,
weigh a weight that where I'm not bloated and I'm in my bikini
yeah.
and my stomach is flat, I feel really magnetic.
I love that.
That makes me feel actually the best. Like when I wake up and I'm like, I'm not bloated and I'm the perfect weight, that makes me feel really good. What about you?
Well, I feel like that's just the perfect spot to end it. I love you so much. I love
You
your
need to tell me.
authenticity.
I need
I
to know
mean,
what makes you feel awful.
I. Okay, I have 2 minutes. Okay. You want to know what makes me feel magnetic is just being with my family. And I
Yeah.
can't wait for you to have that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I love
Thanks for
you.
having me back. I love you too.